Hello and welcome to Thursday's Not Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're all right today. Here's what's on the show. First, we've been to charity Shareware's Manuary campaign aimed at getting men to clear out their wardrobes and donate them to people in need.
We all like our own style of clothing. We all dress differently. I like my tracksuit tops and my jeans. Getting a bit too old to be wearing these sort of things now, but it is the fact that you can pick what you like.
That might just be the nudge you need to sort out your wardrobe. We'll have more on that in a moment. Plus, it's been a big week for new developments in Mansfield, and we'll be looking into that in more detail. And it includes the next phase of one of the town's massive Lyndhurst developments being approved, as well as new life for the town's old BHS store. We'll be finding out what the future holds in just a short while. Plus, we've been to one of the biggest and cutest alpaca farms in the county, which also welcomed the arrival of some very cute little lambs too.
This lamb was actually born on New Year's Eve, a little bit earlier than we thought so. The mum actually had triplets, and we have two of them still with us.
Oh, look, they're adorable, aren't they? We're going to be seeing more of them later on in the show, and we're going to be catching up with Paralympic legend himself, Richard Whitehead, after he starts a mammoth marathon challenge for 2025. The gold medalist took on the heat in Dubai last weekend and will be joining us later on to tell us how many more runs he expects to do this year. I'm exhausted just talking to him, and he will kick off a sports roundup where we'll also hear from Notts County head coach Stuart Maynard after he made some key additions to the squad in the transfer window.
And we believe will fit straight into the way that we play, and look, he's a leader as well. Even though he's young, and even in his first training session the other day, he's organising already, and he's new to the group. He's a great character, you can tell that already, and the group have taken to him really well.
All that and loads more coming up just for you. But first, how often do you go through your wardrobe and clear out those clothes that you no longer wear, you no longer want, or no longer fit? It might not be very often, and I've got to say, if you're a man, it's possibly even less often. Well, Nottingham clothes bank Shareware has launched its Manuary campaign this month with the hope of getting more men's clothes in their stock. The organisation says just 20% of its donations are male clothes, despite at least half of the clothes that they hand out being for men. Sam Jones has been along to find out more.
This isn't a charity shop, but the clothes on the rails are all going to people who need them. Shareware offers free of charge clothing to people in need and says last year it helped around 25,000 people across our county. That could include people referred to its services by the Job Centre, maternity nurses or homeless charity Framework. But the organisation itself is in need, saying it's lacking men's clothing because of a drop-off in donations. Only 1 in 5 items donated to the clothes bank are for men, and they're needed to support people like Lyndon, who was referred to Shareware by Framework after his marriage breakdown made him homeless. He says the service is here, giving him some of his freedoms back.
Yes, loads of choice. It's a pretty big unit. I was quite surprised actually. I thought it was going to be like a normal charity shop, but no, it's big, it's laid out well, and the staff are fantastic. It's good when you can come here because you can just walk around and take your time. There's no pressure, you know what I mean, and you can actually make sure that things fit, and instead of just picking things up or being given stuff. We all like our own style of clothing. We all dress differently. I like my tracksuit tops and my jeans. Getting a bit too old to be wearing these sort of things now, but you know what I mean. It is the fact that you can pick what you like.
To combat the donation drop, Shareware has launched its Manuary campaign, aimed at getting more male garments into its stock. So far, the charity say donations by men have picked up, but they still need more.
Yes, we have had more men's clothing this month, which does help with our increased clients base, and also, we can fulfil some more of our orders for outreach.
All different reasons. Maybe some do want working clothes, or it could be for a family funeral, it could be just everyday warm practical clothing. If you haven't got clothing, it can stop you from doing so many and accessing so many things, that sometimes it's just general warm, practical clothing. You get people now coming through that are employed as well, but obviously on a low income, maybe with several children, clothing a family as well as yourself, sometimes that the need for the parent maybe goes behind the need for the child. So, sometimes we are obviously getting parents that come in on low income, so they just need that support. And clothing is expensive, isn't it? Male clothing is expensive.
With still 2 weeks of January left, there's plenty of time to help others stay dressed and warm this winter and for the year to come. Sam Jones for Notts TV.
Thank you, Sam. Right, we are going from Manuary to Mansfield now as we look at a big week in new developments for the town. Council planners met this week to decide on some important proposals, including the next phase of housing for the 1,700 home Lyndhurst development and a new future for the town's Old British Home Stores shop. Plus, the authority has been outlining some of its budget struggles heading towards the new financial year too. I caught up with our local democracy reporter Latifa Yedruji to break down what it all means for the town. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So the Lyndhurst project development is a big one. What was discussed at that planning meeting?
Absolutely. This is a really big project for Mansfield. So the council have approved the 484 homes in the district. So this is part of a £250 million development. So these houses, 170 of them will be affordable housing, which is a very good thing for the town. So 500 houses have already been built. And so this is not just a development with houses. This is a development that is going to include many different types of facilities, such as a care home. So that was also discussed in the meeting, a 66-bedroom care home, which is a huge thing for the district. It will house patients with dementia. It will help improve, the area, not just with houses in the care home, but also with a primary school, things like a health centre, things like offices and a community park.
So this is part of a bigger development as well. What can you tell us about that?
So this development started in 2017. So that was when the building works started taking place, and they're still ongoing. So now we're under phase 2 of the development. So this phase will see where most of the affordable homes will be built, in addition to facilities such as new shops. So what is great about this development is not that they're just creating new homes for residents, but also helping to improve the infrastructure of the area, because sometimes when you have developments, the infrastructure isn't met, but with this development, that's what is happening.
So I imagine with a big development like this, there are also some concerns that maybe the councils or residents have. Any of those you can share with us?
Absolutely. So some of the councillors and residents were talking about parking issues. So with developments, there will be an influx of people coming to the area. So with such, residents were concerned about an overspill of parking, which the developer did say could possibly happen, but only in the instance that all residents and visitors would be at home simultaneously at the same time. However, they said that this would not be a very likely occurrence, but it was discussed in the meeting about parking concerns.
So in terms of Mansfield and what's happening in Mansfield at the moment, it sounds like Mansfield's going through some massive changes. Of course, the BHS store has gone. What else is going on in Mansfield, in the district at the moment?
Right, so not just the Lyndhurst development, which is a £250 million development. Mansfield is quite going through a regeneration period, I would say, with the former BHS store, which is located in Westgate in the town. It will be transformed. So I recently attended a meeting that stated that this retail space will be completely revamped. So the store will be converted into 2 retail units, and the second floor and the third floor will also be converted into storage areas. So I'm really excited to see what type of stores are going to be popping up on the high street, because that's going to regenerate the area. It's going to bring more people into the town for shopping purposes. And the councillors gave a unanimous vote and were very happy with the development of the transformation of the BHS store.
Do you know what? I know it's an aside, but I do miss the BHS shops. That's a great one in Victoria Centre as well. Honestly, their January sales were incredible. Anyway, I digress. Let's go back to the Lyndhurst development. Remind us how many homes are being built.
So in total, 1,700 homes will be built. So that is a lot of homes. It's a big project. It's £250 million. So new homes, new infrastructure, primary schools, care homes, a health centre, new shopping. So it's pretty much an all-in-one. Imagine living in a housing development, you have everything at your doorstep. I think it's quite nice, I think, for residents.
Everything you need. Well, thank you very much for keeping us updated. We will, of course, keep updated as the Lyndhurst project goes on. But for now, Latifa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, let's have a look at some of your news headlines today. First, and police have launched a CCTV appeal after a man was glassed outside a Nottingham pub. The 25-year-old victim was left needing hospital treatment after he was hit on the head with a bottle outside a venue on South Sherwood Street in the early hours of December the 15th. Now, Nottinghamshire Police have released the CCTV image showing on your screen as they believe the man pictured can help with their investigations. The force said anyone who can help or who might have information should get in touch via 101. Next, and police have closed a property in Hyson Green linked to persistent drug dealing and antisocial behaviour. Nottinghamshire Police and the City Council have closed down the property on Hovenden Gardens after multiple complaints over the last year. Police say noise disturbance, intimidating behaviour and open drug use took place there, so they used an order issued by Nottingham Magistrates Court to close it off for 3 months. A 50-year-old woman linked to the property was due into the same court last week but failed to appear, and a warrant for her arrest has been issued. Right, it's time to take a very short break now. Pop and grab yourself a cuppa, come back after the ads, but we will be chatting with Paralympic legend Richard Whitehead about his 2025 plans, plus heading to hear from a group of working women together who are working to improve their well-being. That's all on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Thursday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're all right today. Here's what's happening in Notts today. First, and a project to create about 10,000 jobs at a former Notts power station has received a huge funding boost. The government has confirmed the new STEP fusion energy plans for the old West Burton power station near Retford will benefit from a £410 million funding project aimed at investing into the new form of energy it will create. This power, called spherical tokamak for energy production, uses magnetic confinement to fuse hydrogen and release energy. Leaders say it's many million times more efficient than coal, oil or gas. Next, and a Notts end-of-life facility has said jobs could be at risk due to rising costs and a drop in funding. Nottinghamshire Hospice on Woodborough Road in Nottingham said a national hospice funding crisis has left it facing an extra £190,000 in costs next year and an overall £800,000 financial deficit. The charity said staffing costs are £4 in every £5 it spends, and this puts 17 jobs at risk. The government says a £100 million national funding pot will support hospices to become more sustainable. Moving on now, and earlier on in the show we spoke about how men in our county are being encouraged to hand over their unwanted clothes to charity. Well, we're flipping genders now to look at a community project being led by women and aimed at supporting one another with their well-being. Sessions are held each Wednesday in Sneinton Community Centre and started off 4 months ago with just a couple of people. It is growing week on week to provide a space for people to de-stress from their day-to-day lives. And our reporter Marta Evora Silva went along to find out more.
For many, January is a time to shed off those Christmas pounds and take stock on your personal well-being. But for women here in the Sneinton Community Centre, weekly well-being has been a priority for more than 4 months. These friends come together for sessions filled with laughter and joy, and to look after one another too. Women's well-being was started by Fatima, Jackie and Hiba, and the goal is simple. It's all about women being together and decompressing from their day-to-day lives. From crafts to going to the theatre, these women take part in activities that allow space for openness, even providing a nursery space for babies and giving out food to residents of Sneinton.
We just started for the community, especially for women. So the people, those who stay at home, we just wanted to just get them out from the house, just meet new people and talk to each other, be friendly and just to chill out themselves.
So it's like a lot of them said if they don't come to this, they'll be sitting at home in their pyjamas watching TV or just not doing anything. So if they can come out and just offload and have a laugh and chat and just have a cup of tea. Some of them just don't even do anything, but it's important just for them to come out the houses.
What began as a couple of attendees has now grown into a small community of around 12 people, with people coming from the Snayton area and beyond. Its members hope it's just the beginning of more groups like this across the county.
My daughter works at the centre and she told me about it and I've been coming ever since. So I love it. It gets me out of the house. It's great and they're all such nice people. You know, I mean, I come from Bull, I come on 2 buses, so it takes me a while to get here, but it's well worth it, just love it. It would be great to have one nearer home, but there's nothing like that in Bull at all, so I come here.
The group receives no funding, and its events and even snacks come out of the members' and founders' own pockets. But they say these weekly sessions are worth every effort, providing Nottingham's women with a space that they can make their own. Marta Silva for Nots TV.
Thank you, Marta. What a lovely group. Right, it's time for my next guest now. And to call him a Nottingham legend would be an understatement. This year is 20 years since Paralympian Richard Whitehead set off on his athletic career, from swimming to hockey and, of course, to running. 2 decades on, Richard now has 2 gold medals, 4 world titles and countless world records under his belt, as well as his contributions to making the sport more inclusive, being recognised by the Queen. And now, to mark the occasion, Richard will be undergoing 20 marathons from around the world, bringing his total up to 100. He's just got back from the 10K Dubai Marathon, but this is just the beginning of a massive year. And Richard joins me now to tell us more. It is always a pleasure having you on the show, Richard. Thank you. There he is. Thank you very much for joining us. You all right?
I'm not too bad, thanks. And I've just come back from the marathon in Dubai. So not the 10K. I've done one of my marathons that I plan to do this year. So just to put you right there, because I know how important it is to be right.
Absolutely, absolutely right. I beg your pardon, I thought it was called the 10K Marathon, which didn't make sense to me, but I thought, I'm not a runner, so I won't query it. So you've been doing this marathon in Dubai. Most of us haven't even finished the chocolates from the tubs at Christmas, and you're off in Dubai doing a marathon. How was it for you?
Well, one, I wanted to get out of this cold weather. That was the first thing. But also, it's a great opportunity to start my journey, start of the year. So 20 marathons in my 20 years of competing in running all over the world. The marathons will have a significance to my athletics or sporting career. So, for instance, my next marathon, which I will announce tomorrow actually, has got a significance to my swimming career. And these races are literally all over the world. Sunny climates, cold climates, mass participation events, some of the biggest races in the world, also some of the more kind of scenic ones, which have smaller numbers competing. But it's really about the opportunity to connect to the wider community, establish some links with those communities that maybe have never seen a person with a disability running, and also encourage the power of sport, encourage the wellness of sport and how it's really impacted me in my career. But also, I'm really passionate, like you know, Emma, around community links and giving back to the local community. And I've been really active recently, kind of getting people moving. And I will be in the coming weeks, kind of really motivating people to think about themselves. So that's why when we got to our New Year's resolutions, I was calling them New You's resolutions. So it's all about you and being positive.
And it does make such a difference. Like you say, you're celebrating 20 years. Have you noticed a difference in inclusivity? Because like you say, I know you're so passionate about it. We see you running all across Nottingham, like even when you're not doing anything public. I'm like, oh, there's Richard Whitehead running again. Have you noticed a difference in inclusivity, or do we still have a way to go?
For sure. We have come a long way with our attitudes towards inclusion. And we are starting to realise that it's not all about those signs that we see on the car parks or in the disabled toilets. There's lots of people out there with hidden disabilities, sensory learning, physical disabilities that aren't represented. And hopefully by what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to communicate through the power of sport, it's not about winning fast times. It's not about winning gold medals. It's about investing in yourself and also getting the wider community to understand the real importance of inclusion and how, yes, it has changed, but we've still got so much more to give. And also there's so many opportunities for young people with disabilities to be the leaders of tomorrow. And that for me is the next kind of enrichment opportunity, is finding these young Richard Whiteheads that have got their journey ahead of them.
And of course, you know, you're from Nottingham, you're very passionate about being from Nottingham as well. How do you think we do in Nottinghamshire compared to the rest of the country with inclusive sport?
I think Nottingham has always had a rich history of sporting excellence, whether it's through the facilities that we've got or the athletes such as Rebecca Adlington, obviously Torval and Dean, some of the great Paralympic successes since Beijing, London, all the way through to obviously the athletes that won gold in Paris. I still think we need to talk to the wider community. There's still communities out there that still don't have the opportunity and platforms for sporting success, and that is just about those wellness opportunities, because there's so many barriers for disabled people just to get out their door.
Do you know what? It's always so good talking to you. Remind us where people can find out more about you and your brilliant marathons.
So on my website, which is richardwhite@mbe.com. Also, I'll be doing lots of activities in Nottinghamshire. So if you want to get involved in those, the running activities aren't running. It's just turning up and getting involved. And you'll see me on my socials. Get involved, because I want to see more people in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire active.
Love it. Richard, always lovely talking to you. Thank you very much for your time. Take it easy. Love it. Time now for some more of your sport. We're starting with Notts County, who have made 2 new signings this week, bringing 19-year-old Sunderland defender Zach Johnson on loan from Sunderland until the end of the season, as well as 21-year-old promising Everton forward Charlie Whittaker on a 6-month deal. They join as Dan Crowley leaves Meadow Lane for MK Dons. And speaking ahead of the club's match against Accrington at the weekend, head coach Stuart Maynard explains what the new additions will bring to the squad.
Charlie Whittaker's a player that we've known about for all season really, and someone that we inquired about in the summer. Look, he's a talented boy. He's got dribbling ability, and he's a great finisher. We feel that he adds a lot to us in the top end of the pitch. We believe that he'll be able to bring goals and assists to his game and bring that to the team. So look, we're really excited to be working with him. Zach's a big, aggressive centre half that's comfortable on the ball, and we believe will fit straight into the way that we play. And look, he's a leader as well. Even though he's young, and even in his first training session the other day, he's organising already, and he's new to the group.
On to ice hockey now, and Nottingham Panthers have confirmed tickets are on sale for all their remaining games this season, and that includes all their home matches between now and April, starting with their clash with Coventry Blaze in the Elite League this coming Saturday. They're also at the Motorpoint Arena this week today for their Challenge Cup play with Glasgow Clan. Both of those games will be shown right here on Notts TV, with the Coventry game showing at 9 p.m. on Wednesday and the Glasgow game 7:30 on Friday the 24th. Time to take a look at your picture of the day. Thank you so much to Molly Dennis. Look at this, beautiful, from Arnold for this terrific tree and skyline shot. As for your weather, we've been seeing a misty morning, but with some clear skies. That mist will be returning going into tonight, dropping to lows of 5 degrees tomorrow. That mist will turn cloudy, which will stay in place for most of the day. Highs of 7 and lows of 2. Looking ahead to Saturday, it's going to be overcast, really, with highs of 7 and lows of 2. Let's take another break. Join me shortly for more Notts news and views. Hello and welcome back to Notts Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Thank you for joining us. Here's some more of your news headlines on Thursday afternoon. First, and the leaders of the 9 councils in our area are working together to review potential plans to see some of them be scrapped. The Labour government says new devolution plans could involve the 2-tier council system being scrapped in favour of larger super councils. This might mean district and borough authorities and county councils merging to form bigger councils and covering larger areas. Authorities in 2-tier areas have been invited to draw up plans, and now council leaders say they're working together to work out their response. Next, and a deteriorating Hucknall School will be replaced with a new £10 million facility. Broomhill Junior School, which was built nearly 60 years ago, will benefit from a new 2-storey rebuild after Ashfield District Council approved new plans. Groundworks will begin in February, with construction expected to take about 18 months. And once the new project, which is funded by the Department for Education, is built, the existing building will be demolished. Currently, the school caters for 272 pupils. Right, let's see what you can get up to tonight with our What's On guide. First, we've got comedian Ria Lina bringing her new smash hit show Reawakening to the Canal House. She is funny, where the Live from the Apollo star tackles feminism, womanhood and plain old common sense. It starts at 7:30. There are still some tickets available. Next, we've got desperate journalists performing at Bodega tonight. And no, I don't mean the ones writing this script. They are a post-punk band from London and will be rocking your world tonight at 7. Last few tickets are selling fast if you go and have a great time. And finally, the Gladstone on Carrington is having its weekly pub quiz, where 30 questions correct could see you winning a bottle of wine, and with free entry to What Is Not to Love, whatever you choose. Have a terrific Thursday night. Now, it's time for our next guest, and January, as we all know, can be a dark and dreary time with very little sunlight and even less money. But one way to beat those winter blues is the return of Beeston's Light Night. This is the 3rd year the Bright Night has been running for, brightening up Beeston's High Street with arts and illuminations. This year's theme is Poetry and Fire, as the event coincides with Burns Nights, and there will be a smattering of Scottishness throughout the poet. Fire breathers lining Beeston's High Streets, as well as a bagpipe player too, and here to tell us all about it is Jeannie Barton of Beeston Civic Society. Thank you so much for coming in today. 3rd year that this has been running, and it seems to just be getting bigger and brighter and better. Tell us about this year's event.
Yeah, it's kind of different from Nottingham Light Night in that there are so many volunteers that get involved. I would say it's definitely a community-led event, although we are using the Shared Prosperity Fund from the council. We applied and gained a grant again for this event. Yeah, we've got loads of unique pieces. So we've got a sculpture on the bandstand in the square. We've got a lady who's going to do the addressing of the haggis to open the event at 6 p.m. as well, called Mimi, and she's extremely eccentric and fantastic. So she's got an illuminated kind of stunt haggis for the event.
I love that. What's on your mantelpiece? It's just my stunt haggis.
You know, she's going in on the tram with it. She'd be like, yeah, this is me, just normal behaviour. One of the pieces which I'm really excited about is the projection piece that we're doing on the precinct this year, which is a collaboration with Broxtowe Women's Project.
Brilliant.
And they've written poems around domestic abuse and violence, so it's quite an intense piece. And the poems have been visualised by director and editor Katie Dawson, who's a local lady, phenomenal creative artist herself. And one of the pieces, they've used that new facility in Nottingham Trent University, which is multi-million-pound kind of updating from green screen technology, where you've got like digital backdrops. And one of the ladies who's written a piece is a firefighter, lady firefighter, and they've filmed her reading her poem, and she's literally walking out of a burning building. Wow. It's really amazing, like Hollywood blockbuster visuals. So I'm really excited for people to see those projection pieces that are on the precinct in the centre. And then we've got loads of other lighting and fire spinners and fire breathers and drum groups and silk fan artists, LED spinners, poets, roaming poets, all sorts of things.
Oh, it just sounds fabulous. So who is this aimed at?
It's aimed at anyone who lives local or further away. Families come down. The Shared Prosperity Fund is given to projects to help the high street, essentially. So all of the installations that we have are massively spread out across Beeston. The main thrust of it is along the high road from Barton's to Broadgate Park, with obviously a cluster in the centre, and then there's other pieces that are down in the Rylands as well, because Beeston's kind of in two halves, where you've got like the other side of the tracks, the train tracks. So the Boat and Horses are putting on events there. They've got some fire performers which I've booked, and then there's the SUP people down by the canal as well. Loads.
There's just so much going on, and what I know they are important, and I know you're very passionate about this as well, but why do you think events like this are so important?
I think our high streets, obviously with the evolution of retail and so on, do need unique attractions in order to survive and to prosper. And I think these community-wide events that bring in local businesses, residents and everything, we've got over 30 volunteers taking part, stewarding, and then we've got hundreds of people taking part who are businesses and local people creating their own kind of ad hoc installations along the way as well. So apart from the things that we've booked with the fund, it's much bigger than that. And I think that community spirit, it's just, it's warming as much as the, fire spinning is.
It really is. Now, remind us where and when it's all taking place, and if we need to get our hands on tickets.
Okay, there's no ticketing. It's all just the town is completely open as normal. So just come and roam around. Look at the Beeston Civic Society's website. If you Google Beeston Light Night, there's a page all about it with a Google map of where the attractions are. And it's a week on Saturday, which is the 25th of January, which is Burns Night, obviously.
Brilliant.
And it's between 6 and 9 p.m.
Love it. Jeannie, thank you so much for coming in and sharing that. Sounds
very
fabulous,
welcome.
doesn't it? Right, it's time for another look at one of your top stories today. And how often do you go through your wardrobe and clear out the clothes you no longer wear? Well, it might not be very often. And if you're a man, possibly even less often. Nottingham clothes bank Shareware has launched its Manuary campaign this month with the hope of getting more men's clothes in their stock. The organisation says just 20% of all its donations are male clothes, despite at least half of the clothes they hand out being for men. Sam Jones has been along to find out more.
This isn't a charity shop, but the clothes on the rails are all going to people who need them. Shareware offers free of charge clothing to people in need and says last year it helped around 25,000 people across our county. That could include people referred to its services by the Job Centre, maternity nurses or homeless charity Framework. But the organisation itself is in need, saying it's lacking men's clothing because of a drop-off in donations. Only 1 in 5 items donated to the clothes bank are for men, and they're needed to support people like Lyndon, who was referred to Shareware by Framework after his marriage breakdown made him homeless. He says the service is here, giving him some of his freedoms back.
Yes, loads of choice. It's a pretty big unit. I was quite surprised actually. I thought it was going to be like a normal charity shop, but no, it's big, it's laid out well, and the staff are fantastic. It's good when you can come here because you can just walk around and take your time. There's no pressure, you know what I mean, and you can actually make sure that things fit, and instead of just picking things up or being given stuff. We all like our own style of clothing, we all dress differently. I like my tracksuit tops and my jeans. Getting a bit too old to be wearing these sort of things now, but you know what I mean. It is the fact that you can pick what you like.
To combat the donation drop, Shareware has launched its Manuary campaign, aimed at getting more male garments into its stock. So far, the charity say donations by men have picked up, but they still need more.
Yes, we have had more men's clothing this month, which does help with our increased clients base, and also we can fulfil some more of our orders for outreach.
All different reasons. Maybe some do want working clothes, or it could be for a family funeral, it could be just everyday warm practical clothing. If you haven't got clothing, it can stop you from doing so many and accessing so many things that sometimes it's just general warm practical clothing. You get people now coming through that are employed as well, but obviously on a low income, maybe with several children, clothing a family as well as yourself, sometimes that the need for the parent maybe goes behind the need for the child. So, sometimes we are obviously getting parents that come in on low income, so they just need that support. And clothing is expensive, isn't it? Male clothing is expensive.
With still 2 weeks of January left, there's plenty of time to help others stay dressed and warm this winter and for the year to come. Sam Jones for Knots TV.
Thank you, Sam. Right, let's take another look at some more of your news headlines first. And off-road police in Newark have managed to reverse a big trend in vehicle thefts. Nottinghamshire police have used techniques including drone flyovers and miles of foot searches in rural areas to track down stolen 4x4 cars and SUVs in the town. It follows 40 separate reports of these thefts between February and October, with cars like Land Rovers and Range Rovers being stolen every 10 days on average. But now the force say 22 vehicles have been recovered thanks to a targeted effort by officers. And we're staying around Newark now, and police made a quadruple arrest by using stingers to bring a lorry on false plates to a halt. Road policing officers travelled to the A1 after hearing a vehicle had been sighted on cloned plates. It happened just after midnight on Wednesday, and after following the truck for a short while, police used stingers to pop its tyres and bring it to a stop. A large bolt cutter was then thrown from the vehicle before all 4 people on board were arrested. That included 2 men aged 19 and 41, as well as 2 teenage boys. All right, it's time for our final break now, but come back after the ads as we'll be heading to an alpaca farm that's also welcomed some cute new lambs too. All that and more on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Thursday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're all right. Here's some more of what's happening in Knots today. First, Nottingham's tram network has been hit with hours of on and off disruption due to power outages and track issues. It started on Wednesday afternoon when technical issues meant there were no trams between Old Market Square and the railway station, meaning services in the city were stopping at the Royal Centre. These issues were still ongoing at 10 p.m. last night before operator Nets confirmed power problems affected services between Totton Lane and the University of Nottingham, as well as Ruddington Lane and Clifton South. Next, and the popular home Pierpont Country Park has been closed while staff clean up following recent floods. Operators of the Rushcliffe Park and Water Sports Centre say the whitewater course will reopen on Saturday during daylight hours only, but overall the rest of the country park remains closed. Paddlers will be asked to only park in the whitewater car park and use designated paths whilst clean-up takes place. This is ongoing, and the operators say more information will be provided when it's complete. Now, a Nottinghamshire farm, more commonly known for their love of alpacas, of which they boast having more than 130 of, has now welcomed the arrival of some little lambs and expect more to be born in the coming weeks. J&J Alpacas in Newark started lambing again this month, with some of their lambs even being born on New Year's Day. Jordan Guerrero went along.
A patch that normally attracts people to see their exotic alpacas up close. But now this Newark farm isn't being sheepish as it welcomes entirely new life to its popular fields. J&J Alpacas recently welcomed newborn lambs to its farm in a process that's taken place much earlier than the regular lambing season in spring, and their numbers don't look likely to be slowing down. This farm has more than 70 sheep of different breeds, and co-owner of J&J Alpacas, Jess Stanger, says one of the mums didn't produce enough milk, so they're having to bottle feed some of them by hand.
This lamb was actually born on New Year's Eve, a little bit earlier than we thought so. The mum actually had triplets. We have 2 of them still with us. One didn't make it, unfortunately. But as the mum hasn't produced as much milk as hoped, we are bottle feeding this one just now and then, just to top him up, which he loves.
She says this lambing season has been a very intense one too.
In our lambing barn at the moment, we have our South Down sheep, 1 coloured Ryland and a blue Texel sheep. We've had 17 lambs born so far, 9 girls and 8 boys. There's always a job to do, but yeah, it's a really nice job to have, definitely.
As well as the sheep, there are more than 100 alpacas of all different colours and sizes, and Jess says she knows each of their names.
So you think I'm lying that I know every single alpaca on the farm, but honestly I do. So we have, this is Gemini, we have Isla just behind you, and Lilybet, the darker brown, And Tiana is the lighter brown. And they all have names, they all have personalities. Alpacas give birth once a year, normally between May and August time, as we have nice warm weather. They give birth to just one normally. They can have twins, it's normally about 1 in 60,000.
The attraction's closed for a few weeks while a big refurbishment takes place. Until then, workers here will be counting sheep and hoping the new year brings yet more new life. Jordan Guerrero for Knots TV.
I mean, that's just adorable for a Thursday afternoon, isn't it? Right, it's time for our final guests of the show, and to say that missing this performance would be criminal is an understatement, because next month the West Bridgford Operatic Society will be giving stage of the Squire Performing Arts Centre the West End treatment with their production of Curtains, a brassy and bloody whodunit set in 1950s Boston, where a detective and the cast of fictional TV show is caught up in a murder mystery, giving you a comedy, a musical and a murder all rolled into one show. Sounds fabulous, doesn't it? Rehearsals are now well underway, and here to tell us how it's all going are cast members Helen and Chris Healy and leading lady Steph Jones. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now Helen, the last time we saw you talking about one of the shows that you guys were doing, you had a pig head with you. There was no pig with you today.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry. No props today.
Tell us about the show. This one sounds a good one as well.
This is a bit different, very different. It's set in Boston in the USA, and we are a cast putting on a show called, interestingly enough, Robin Double B Hood.
Brilliant. Oh, very good.
So this is a show within a show, and right at the start of the show there is a murder. One of the cast members is killed. So that's how it starts, straight into the Agatha Christie. So in comes a detective from the homicide division of the police department, and it just happens that he is a massive musical theatre fan. So not only does he come and investigate the murder, and he locks us all down in the theatre, we can't leave, but he also tells us how to improve the show.
Right.
And he finds romance.
Oh, there's love, there's comedy, there's murder. I love it. So speaking of romance, Steph, I feel like this maybe is where your character might come into things.
Yes, so I play Nikki Harris, and she's the understudy to the leading lady of the show within the show. And
I love a show within a show.
Yeah, it is fantastic, and she catches the eye of the detective. So there's some love interest there, but am I as sweet and innocent as I seem? Because we are all suspects, so you never know.
Now, Chris, you are also in the show with your mum, Helen.
Yes.
How is that, working with your mum and being in a show with her?
Well, I'm quite used to it. I've been doing it probably since I was quite young. I remember being 7 years old and being in a show with my mum, so I'm quite used to it. And it's a really lovely chance to kind of do something together as a family, and also being really proud when I get to share how fantastic my mum is doing and myself, and it's really nice, a bonding opportunity for us. And in our family, it's a great way to just talk about things, because we never stop talking about the show, so our whole life feels like it's part of a musical.
I love that. So how long have you been with the West Bridgford Operatic Society?
So about 7 years or so as a senior member, but I've done some shows when I was quite young, probably from like 6 or 7, I would say. So kind of growing up, so very much always part of my life, West Bridgford Operatic Society.
I love this. So how are rehearsals going so far?
Pretty good,
Yeah,
I'd say.
really
Actually.
good.
Yeah, the director's happy with us. She says we're in a good place, so
Excellent.
we can say no more than that, can we?
So where do the actors come from? Are you all West Bridgford based?
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, unusually, we all live north of the town, Mapley, Woodthorpe, Arnold, and I've never known so many people come from, not West Bridgford. There obviously are a lot of people from Bridgford and Keyworth surrounding areas, but yes, now pretty much all over.
Yeah. And do you have are there people with professional backgrounds, or is this just something you do because you love the arts?
I think there's an odd person that's been to, not a person that's odd, an odd person, who's been, I say no more, who has been to drama school, but generally speaking, they are, interested amateurs and people that just love it, but actually have other jobs as well.
And that must be the thing, because if you've all got other jobs that you're going to, then coming for an evening to rehearse or performing, it must just be a really exciting way to spend your evenings.
Yeah, it can be testing, because obviously 7:30 to 9:30 at night you want to be tucked up on the sofa with a cup of tea. But actually it's fantastic, because it really it blows the winter blues away for certainly leading up to when you're rehearsing over the Christmas period and then performing in February. It's fantastic because it gets you it's exciting and it's exhilarating, and it's a fantastic way to spend the evening with, especially with people
it can be tiring,
that you know.
particularly when we get near to the show, because we do extra rehearsals.
Yeah, of course.
But I think everybody just loves to sing, don't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it always makes you feel better.
Yeah, and the friendships you build together, the community that we've put this thing on together is just fantastic, and it's an amazing feeling when you leave the rehearsal after you've been, I don't want to come today, I just want to be in my bed watching Traitors, etc. Because actually you've come and made this thing together. We did a number yesterday and it was just fantastic in an hour and a half what we could produce, and so that's a really great, exhilarating feeling.
It's a huge boost.
Yeah, I bet it is. So remind us when and where it's all taking place.
Well, it's the 18th to the 22nd of February, so in half-term week, 7:30 each evening. 2 o'clock a matinee on Saturday, and we're at the Squire Performing Arts Centre up at the Girls High School on Arboretum Street.
Oh, it's
so
such a
it is a
beautiful venue.
beautiful little theatre, very modern and comfortable. So we've got, it's easily accessible by public transport, and of course my favourite thing, there's a free car park.
Love it.
So winner
Free
there.
car park ticket.
Yeah, big
Well,
tick.
good luck with the show. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about it. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Right, in case you missed it last night, Team Talk returned to your screens, and so did former Reds head coach Billy Davies. You can catch some more of our exclusive chats with the controversial former Forest manager on demand right now and on our YouTube channel too. Take a look.
They are a counter-attack team. They do like to win it and then break forward quickly and then try and get that finish. So I think the possession stat, they do sit at the bottom of the Premier League. I think that's concerning. But the most important stat out of it all is that Forest are sitting second. They've had a fantastic season, and they will be quite comfortable and happy to continue to play that style of play that's brought them great success.
Well, let's have a look at the table, because as you rightly said, at the moment, at the time we're recording this, Forest are second in the Premier League. We're more than halfway through the season. Where do you realistically see Forest finishing at the end of the season, Billy?
Well, I've said before, Mark, that for me, this is a top four club now. They have spent over the last 3 seasons excess 400 million. There was 60 players come in, 38 players went out, and they've had tremendous support from above in relation to bringing in additions, adding to the squad. Of course, I've said Steve Cooper has done a wonderful job, and then in came Nuno. But if you look at the first 2 seasons, they finished 16th and then 17th. Now, year 3, you're now seeing the true potential of this club, and I've got no doubt that this is now a very competitive.
Now that is a good show. Let's look at your picture of the day. Now, thank you so much to Molly Dennis from Arnold for this terrific tree and skyline shots. Beautiful, isn't it? Get that in a frame. As for your weather, we've been seeing a misty morning, but with some clear skies. That mist will be returning going into tonight, dropping to lows of 5 degrees. Tomorrow, that mist will turn cloudy, which will stay in place for most of the day. Highs of 7 and lows of 2. Looking ahead to Saturday, once again, we can expect some overcast skies with a high of 7 and a low of 2. And that's it, the end of the show, I'm afraid. Thanks, as always, to our great guests. I will be back at the same time tomorrow to see you into the weekend. But until then, from everyone on the team, whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, enjoy it. I'll be back with you at 5:30 tomorrow for Friday's Not Today. But for right now, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.